Now, the real problem with climate change. Since the Industrial Revolution, we've had advancements in technology, paving the way for new transport, better lifestyle and added convenience to our lives. This unfortunately has all come at a cost. The real problem with climate change is that no one wants to cut back on their lifestyle. Now, there are three major problems with climate change. They are housing, transport, and manufacturing. Let's go into detail about these three major issues. Number one is housing. Those who are fortunate enough now live in big, comfortable housing. As we evolved from our ancestors, living in caves and building wooden shelters, I feel that the earth was never designed to evolve from there. It was never designed for any of these big mansions and multi-storey houses and huge apartment complexes that we all now live in. The amount of resources needed to build a home is crazy. According to the UK Green Building Council, around 10% of the country's carbon dioxide emissions are directly associated with construction activities. Now, this number rises to 45% if you consider all of the building environmental sector. Considering you need bricks, concrete, steel, wood, insulation, and so much more to build a home these days, a safe and reliable home that will last for decades, it's simply not a sustainable activity anymore, and really hasn't been for hundreds of years. Because also you have to consider that you have to heat your home and power things in your home, and not to mention all of the furniture, kitchen appliances, electronics, and all of the wasted food that you might have, all forming part of our daily lives. All of this now uses resources, of course, and our planet is running out of, but none of us are really stopping, are they? Reason number two is transport. Now, cars, planes, ferries and boats, trains and buses are all too convenient for us nowadays. Most importantly, which is the advancement of the car and the way you buy a car nowadays. It's much more affordable just to jump on a monthly payment scheme and get a brand new car. We now take owning a car for granted. And when you really dive deep into how a car is made and how it is powered, it's really inefficient. As when fuel is burnt in an engine, it only produces about 30% output as an efficiency figure, and most of it is wasted with heat. Again, heating up the planet for literally no reason. Now, ironically, I studied automotive engineering as my degree, and my uni lecturer said that if combustion engines cars were made today, they would never be allowed. Think about it, the health and safety laws that have come into place in the past 100 years would not permit an engine, which is basically a hot metal box, just a few feet away from the driver, burning fuel. And I mean, how is that really safe? Now, I know we are transitioning away from that, but it's taken the best part of 100 years since the car industry was beginning to transition to these EVs, and they are only now becoming more mainstream. Now, that's a good thing, but the time it takes to develop an EV, converting factories to produce electric vehicles instead of petrol or diesel combustion cars, and digging up the rare metals and resources needed to produce these batteries. Is that really sustainable? Now, this brings me on to number three, which is manufacturing. All of these new solutions use resources, and energy is simply transformed. It cannot be created or destroyed. And the laws of physics teach us that you don't get anything for free. All of these eco-friendly solutions that are out there, I feel, are just marketing gimmicks that hide the fact that they are still using resources from the planet. Now, let's use my toothbrush analogy. Say you have an eco-friendly bamboo, wooden, plastic-free toothbrush made by a sustainable company. This company still had to be made in the first place, using resources. The factory needed to be set up and arranged, which uses more resources. Then the product needs a website, marketing, and people, all to operate. Also, a lot of these companies will visit trade shows or print out leaflets and documents to market their product. Going to these trade shows will use up fuel, of course, and this is all burned and heats up the planet again. All of this might be for nothing because 80 to 90% of all new businesses actually fail. And then what happens with the stock? You know, the branding, the offices that were built for this company. They need to be stripped out and started again for the next company. My solution has always been to have one toothbrush company in the world. Yes, I know that's called a monopoly, but it'd be beneficial for the planet. It will only require one major factory and set of resources which solely focus on just making one type of toothbrush. Instead of the thousands of companies out there are just innovating on an existing idea that's already been in existence for a while. Entrepreneurs can instead focus on other things, such as decarbonising the planet, really stepping back and look how governments are wasting their resources, as well as the large corporations out there that are throwing everything away and not really thinking about the planet. We can teach them how to become more efficient. As an engineer, this is what I think about a lot, really. Yes, I know I'm a hypocrite because I'm currently in Bali enjoying the hot weather and having to take 2 flights to get here. But at least I'm aware of the issues and doing what I can in my everyday life, outside of travel, that helps out the planet.
Things I've also not covered on climate change is the impact of agriculture and farming, as they're both responsible for significant impacts on climate crisis. Livestock emits methane gas during digestion, and the production of fertilizers and pesticides, as well as clearing forests to make way for farming, is also a huge impact on climate change. People need to cut back on their meat diets, which will reduce the impact on the environment. And there's so many conflicting ideas as well that vegans are also impacting on the environment heavily. But at the end of the day, the fact that I read is that to produce 1 kilo of meat, it's something like 40 gallons of water is needed, which I think is way less for vegetables, for example. Also, for climate change, it's important that you take individual action. We are also responsible Despite how small we might feel, if you make changes to your daily lives, such as using public transport more, selling your car, and using renewable energy sources and supplies whenever you can, maybe assess your carbon footprint and see how you can help with the environment. This also brings me on to renewable energy. It's obviously going to be very difficult for everyone to shift to renewable energy. Wind, solar, hydroelectric power and much more are becoming more available all the time because they don't produce any emissions and nothing is burned. Plus they last for years and can be cheaper on a given day than normal coal and gas and even nuclear. Maybe if you have a piece of land or know someone that does, consider them putting a wind turbine or solar panels on. This will hugely help the impact of climate change on our planet. I'm just stepping in to explain what I do to help my impact on the planet. Firstly, since I've been on this trip, I've been vegetarian or vegan in everything that I've eaten. Secondly, I've not had a car since I quit my job in May last year. And during COVID, for 2 years, I became vegetarian or I didn't eat meat. So as a result of me not having a car, I've been taking so much public transport, trains and buses to get me to places, and it's been really helpful and actually saved me a lot of money instead of maintaining a car that will otherwise just sit at home on the driveway. I also buy a lot of reduced food that is otherwise going to waste. Not only does it save me money, but it saves the planet if I reduce my waste. Plus, if you know my channel, as I'm sure you've seen right now, I am a minimalist and I have been for many years. This means that I reduce anything that I buy and I make sure that anything that I do buy that comes in, I sell the old item. My home is not filled with any junk or any mess that's not needed.
If you've made it this far, comment down below on any questions or thoughts you have about my views on climate change. Thanks so much for watching. Please like this video and subscribe as it greatly helps out my channel. I look forward to seeing you on the next one.